Hi everyone and welcome for this Sunday tutorial. This time we are going to take a look on how I'm going to create some base down with some ice effect. And for that I'm going to use some new kind of stuff like some new projects from Green Stuff World, some pretty old projects from Green Stuff World like Crystal, and that's all. At the end, I'm going to show you my Votan army. I do this base for my Votan army, and before the end of months, I'm going to show you how I paint this Votan army with some slab shop base. And after that, I'm going to show to my boss on Patreon how I make evolve this level. I level up the paint with some simple methods. I'm going to let you with this tutorial, but just before, as you know, don't hesitate to like this video, comment to help me to reach more people, and don't hesitate to come and support me on Patreon if you like the content I propose to you. Let's go for the tutorial. Create some frozen base. I'm going to use to have something very clean as base. I'm going to use some mastic plastic. You can use all kind of mastic plastic. So at the beginning, I'm just going to apply very simply on all the different bases. Before I'm going to use my paper to push this mastic on all the base. So now I'm going to apply on all the bases to have something the more clean I can. You can remove the excedents just with your finger, or take about that and just take a paper to remove all who are around the base. You can always wait, it will be totally dry, so you can remove very easily all you have around the base. So shit's happen, as you can see, and that's a big mistake, but whatever, that's worked pretty well. And just move. You can always clean the surfaces later. So what I need and what I search to reproduce is surfaces who are going to be like ice, so something perfectly clean and perfectly smooth. When the base is totally clean, I come back with some sandpaper and just finishing to clean the surfaces. just before that, I just fixed a magnet in my back just to be to can move my miniatures more easily. To fix my magnet, I just put some super glue, just a few parts of green stuff, and one more some super glue. I put my magnet and I push it to be sure it's not going to go outside my base. And it will be really easy to fix on very magnetic surfaces like that, so I can more easily paint them. And now I'm going to prime everything in gray. You can always make it with hairspray. I just use my airbrush because it's more cunning and easy for me, but you can always spray everything directly in gray. That's worked pretty well. So as you can see, I show you one by one, but you can always make it on the larger series just by using box in metal and prime all on the box in metal, because I magnetized every one of my base. And now I come back with some Hydra Turquoise, mixing with middle of medium airbrush from Army Painter. Take care to use always the medium who come with the same range, because the composition, the chemical composition can be different, and that can create some very strange things into the bottle. So I'm going to apply a very covering layer on all my different bases. And now I'm going to apply some Twilight Sky in the opposite, in one direction I mean. We are going to be the direction of my shadow. And now I come back with some Ionic blue in opposite of the blue, the dark blue I already put. And now I'm going to use my brush to make all my border of base in black. I'm going to try to make it the more clean I can. Try to don't reach these surfaces, and if you do some mistake, we are going to come back just in few minutes to pushing more highlight with our brush on the base. So don't hesitate to manage your time. For example, at this moment, I remove from, for example, 15 circles to 5 to 5 base, just because the step with my brush is more long. So I prefer to manage my motivation by finishing some few base before I continue on the next one. By the way, when I finish my 5, for example, base in black, probably the first one will be totally dry, so I can continue the next step, or pushing a second layer if I think my black is not enough covering. And now we are going to come back with some white with the brush, and we are going to make every edges of all the base of the base. So all the edges of the base like that, and we are going, by the way, to create some imperfection into the eyes just by pushing our white in few different directions. Always focus on the way you put your highlight, but you can create some few imperfection into the eyes. That's always welcome. You can, by the way, tap your brush to create once again more imperfection into this glass effect. It's always a good exercise, a good practice to have a better paint and brush control. Because even if it's an exercise, every one of your mistakes is going to create a nice effect. So and now, to giving more life, I'm going to use this resin crystal from Green Stuff World and glue them with super glue directly on some few base. If you don't have this and you don't want to buy it, you can always use this kind of base and directly cut them to obtain this kind of result. Not exactly the same, but same kind. So take care of your eyes, and you can just cutting and glue them. In my case, I'm just going to use the one I already buy. We can glue 1 or 3 or 5, but what I need is diversity into my different base, so I'm going to try to have something different on every base. So in the last step will be just to add some brilliant varnish, very gloss, to have the last aspect we want on our base. So a very gloss varnish. I apply my gloss varnish everywhere on all the different surfaces of the base, but not, you can see, all around the black. Don't hesitate to put a very big surface. You can always use some transparent resin for this kind of effect, but I mean, I think it's a little bit too much complicated for a so simple exercise, and for me it's not necessary. But if you want, you can, by the way, and I can probably do it if I want, but more on characters miniatures. We're going to have a more complicated base. on some few last point, I'm come back with titanium white pigment and just to pushing some effect of snow on some few part. By the way, I can always come back later with some few gloss varnish again, just to give more glossy effects to my pigment. But when it will be, this first layer will be totally dry. So to create some diversity between my different base, I'm going to use this Crackel paint from Greenstuff World, sorry. So I'm going to put a huge amount of a huge quantity of this, because if that's working the same way than the other Crackel paint, we need a lot to have very large Crackel effects. After we apply, we just have to wait that's totally dry to have the Crackel effect. I try to push a large amount of this product around the crystal in resin, just to try and to see if that effect is going to give the sensation the crystal is going to come out the floor. Not sure it's going to work, but we need to try to be sure that works or not. Here is the result. I really hope you enjoy. This is pretty easy to do if you take care about every different step, and to be honest, you can sometimes just squeeze some step to have something more quick to do, and the effect will be pretty good. The most important thing is the different small and different crystal on the base, the gloss varnish, and the color. We are going to go from dark blue to turquoise to white. Remember, the white is really important. So the base is totally dry, and now I'm going to fix my minis, because I fix with small little metal things, and I'm going to fix it to be sure the eyes is going to go in the direction of the light of my base. And for that I just have to take a drill and make that to fix. And now just to make a junction between my minis and my base, I come back just with some few pigment to put this directly on the foot to make a junction between the minis and the miniature, and the base. And here is the final result after I base everything on the ice effect. By the way, I'm adding some pigment on the foot to create a transition and junction between the base and the miniature. So it's done. I really hope you enjoyed this kind of tutorial about this ice base. Don't hesitate to share with me on Instagram, Facebook by tagging myself directly in your post and show me your way to do my tutorial. That's always welcome. You can always mix with your techniques, any kind of techniques, and give me some feedback about the methods. By the way, you can comment this video by asking your question. Don't hesitate to share with your friend and follow me on Twitch. I do a live painting every Tuesday and Friday, so two times by week at minimum. I try. And you can always find me on Patreon if you want to support me and have more content. A lot of time that's going to be tutorial about how to push your level in a better way. There are a lot of content for orcs and many things. Thanks again for watching and see you soon for the next tutorial. Bye bye.